let's bring in a Republican consultant. Matt Keelen is joining us via Skype. Matt, we really appreciate your time. You may have been monitoring the conversation as you are the founder and strategist for the Keelen Group. Your reaction, Matt Keelen, tonight to the acceptance speech of Donald Trump.
Well, JD, I totally agree with Dick Morris. As I was sitting and watching it, I thought of going back in time and watching the great Ali, fly like a butterfly and sting like a bee. I thought he had to indict the Obama administration and thus Hillary Clinton in the beginning, which he did a tremendous job of doing. But in the end, it was the optimism of making America great again that really is what the American people want to hear. And the other thing that I loved, and Dick Morris talked about this as well, he went after different foundations of the Democratic coalition with such precision that I think that we are going to see a big bounce come out of this convention. And I do think Trump is going for a big win. He's not going for the 270 electoral votes. He talked about places that he is going to compete in, like Michigan and Pennsylvania and New York, which Republicans haven't done in a long time. And until Republicans are competing for every vote and making Democrats earn every state, we're going to be only hoping for a 270, 280 electoral vote win. But what I think Trump is really looking for is a resounding 300, 330 electoral vote win.
And as you mentioned that, Matt Keelen, I think about a couple of different lines. One, specifically aimed at blue-collar America, quoting his dad, Fred Trump, respect the dignity of work and the dignity of working people. There's something else that Donald Trump said during this speech. We have it again. Let's listen together, then I'll get your reaction to it.
I have had a truly great life in business, but now my sole and exclusive mission is to go to work for our country, to go to work for you. It's time to deliver a victory for the American people. We don't win anymore, but we are going to start winning again.
All right, so that is Donald Trump toward the end of the speech. Matt, with that resounding applause, do you think it was echoed in living rooms and a variety of other locations where people were watching the address tonight?
JD, I really do. I think that he hit a home run tonight, and I think he hit a home run not just with Republicans, but with independents and Democrats. And I think what a lot of people were looking for, and Dick Morris also mentioned this, could Donald Trump be presidential? And I think he proved that tonight. All I can think about after this speech is I cannot wait for the first debate, because after tonight, I really think that Trump is going to go into the fall with a lead, and he's going to be taking it to Hillary Clinton at every aspect of the Democratic coalition. He's going to make her earn every vote.
Interesting you should mention taking the fight to Hillary Clinton. We heard a juxtaposition earlier tonight, and in fact, I want to thank you, Matt, and want you to stand by, and I'm going to call on my old congressional colleague from Chicagoland, the 5th District of Illinois, Michael Patrick Flanagan, gentleman who knocked off Ways and Means Chairman Dan Rostenkowski in that epic 1994 campaign. MPF, we heard Trump with a great juxtaposition saying Hillary's folks have to take an oath, I'm with her, and then he says, no, I'm with you, the American people. There's something else that Mr. Trump had to say. Let's listen to it, then I'll get your reaction.
Big business, elite media, and major donors are lining up behind the campaign of my opponent because they know she will keep our rigged system in place. They are throwing money at her because they have total control over every single thing she does. She is their puppet, and they pull the strings.
Now, Mike, as a guy who grew up in Chicago, it sounds like Mr. Trump is taking Chicago policies and have them writ large from coast to coast. Hillary Clinton as the puppet of the special interests, basically perpetrating and furthering a rigged system.
You're right, JD. And I think this is why Trump has largely been bulletproof from the beginning of the process to today. They've thrown everything they can at him, and he never budges in the polls. And the reason is because he's positioned himself as a leader of a movement. He's out in front of the parade. He's not the parade. Hillary Clinton doesn't have a movement. She's asking to be coronated and be the queen of the universe, and we all will be supplicants to her, and she'll be propped up by the people who will pay for her to be there. That requires a whole different dynamic, and you need to be clean and pure and perfect, and you make yourself subject to attacks. That's why Trump will land punch after punch, because the Democrats are a cult of personality and the Republicans are a movement. And irrespective of the leader, the movement moves. And Trump just happens to be in front of the parade. And the other fellows tonight talking about him looking presidential is exactly correct. This is what we've been waiting for, is the leader of our movement to look like the leader of our movement. And it's happened tonight, and I think success in the fall, barring something exotic, is all but assured. And it's going to be a big number, and it's going to be raucous, and it's going to be a catharsis for the nation to reject these corporate interests, these gigantic string pullers. Silicon Valley didn't go after Silicon Valley tonight, but I would have put them on the list too. The dark forces of internationalism and the corporate money and gigantic piles of cash behind them that keep her alive, and the imperial view of the presidency as a servant to the dark forces of this country. He's the candidate of light, and this is a good and wonderful speech tonight, and we're going to move forward together.
And you know what, as you list that, Mike Flanagan, perhaps the Trump people will want to get in touch with you. Such vibrant imagery that sounds like it could lend itself to a presidential address. Let me go back to Matt Keelen. Matt, you were talking earlier about Trump, and it's interesting to hear Mike talk about it, going for the knockout. Not a narrow win, not just 270 electoral votes. And Matt, you mentioned states that Donald Trump named in the upper Midwest, on the eastern seaboard, states where in recent years Republicans have not fared all that well. It is worth noting, as of today, before a post-convention bounce, Hillary and Donald Trump are tied in the battleground state of Ohio. Hillary has been spending money hand over fist. Mr. Trump, not so. What does that portend if these trends can continue, Matt?
I think Mike Flanagan hit it perfect. She does not have the ability to reach people in the way that Trump has. So like you said, JD, she's been spending $500,000 a day on TV. And her numbers haven't moved a bit. She's thrown the kitchen sink at Trump. When I was in Cleveland this week, every other ad was an ad. It was a negative ad against Trump from Hillary or one of her super PACs. And to say that it's gone, down the drain, she's, spent away tens of millions of dollars, and still Trump is standing there. And I think after this speech tonight, he's going to start rising above the numbers that we haven't seen in some of these places that you were just talking about, JD. But one of the things I really like that he did, he kept going back to the Democratic failures in the inner city. And we all know those failures. Mike can tell you about those failures in Chicago. I can tell you about the failures in Washington, D.C. But he kept talking about the ability for the Republican Party and his agenda to lift the inner cities. And if he's fighting in the inner cities, the Democrats are done.
Let me go back to my colleague here at Newsmax TV, John Bogman. John, you were concerned earlier that at the outset of the speech, it was not Morning America. It was not a hopeful message initially. And something else you said that I thought was interesting, and this has happened in the internet age, the tune-out factor can be pretty quick for your generation. Is that really what concerns you? People didn't sit and listen to Trump tonight if he began with a litany of problems?
Yeah, I do feel like the strongest part of the speech, JD, was when he talked about his family, when he talked about his mom, when he talked about his dad, and when he talked about his kids. That's the most humanizing aspects of Donald Trump. It wasn't all bad, and I don't want to sit here and be a negative guy talking about how negative the speech was. There were just things, I went into this, I've never been a never Trump guy, haven't really supported him either, but I went into the convention, this is the time, come on, Donald Trump, you can do this, and it appeared like last night with the Pence speech that everything was on track. But the speech tonight by Donald Trump, I just don't know if it's going to reach a large audience outside of the people who were in the arena, or those of us who follow conservative politics. I mean, there was a lot of red meat in that speech, obviously. And from that standpoint, I think it was strong. But when you talk about the aspects of the inner city crime, there are real problems there. We can all agree on that. But a lot of the stats that Trump used don't really jive with the FBI's uniform crime statistics. When you have a legitimate scandal like what's taking place in Chicago, you don't need to throw ketchup on a steak like that. And that's I think that's what Donald Trump did in his speech.
Well, let's go to the Chicagoan and get his insight on it. Michael Patrick Flanagan, it was interesting what did not occur in Chicago earlier in this campaign, and that was a rally from Donald Trump when we saw that concerted effort at street agitation and violence. Now, you know Chicago. Can Chicago, the city of Democrat bosses and the Daley family and Barack Obama, is it conceivable that Chicago could end up as Trump country?
I have made this speech to the Romney people. I talked to the McCain people about this. You put Chicago in play by going there and talking to the people who want to hear you. They live in a Stalinist regime. They're captured. Their media feeds them stuff that you and I hear, they never hear. They don't know what goes on outside their Iron Curtain. It is a one-party rule, and it is a frightening place sometimes. And if we go ahead and reach into Chicago with both hands, grab them, love them, tell them that there's a future and a place, you will see wide, exciting eyes that want to get it done. Plus, politically, and Dick Morris might be most interested in this, you keep those armies home, you keep Rahm Emanuel looking in his backyard, you keep David Axelrod worried about his power base, and they're not spreading their error in Wisconsin, in Iowa, in buses to Florida, and in all the places Hillary needs them to be. It is the greatest offensive defensive act at the same time to go to south side Chicago and get it done there.
And getting it done, an appropriate use of a term, Michael Patrick Flanagan, because that's what we've done. Our thanks to Matt Keelen, Michael Patrick Flanagan, and of course my colleague John Bogman here at Newsmax TV. That is going to do it for our coverage as the Republican convention adjourns sine die and Mr. Trump heads to the campaign trail. Listen to his final words as we take leave. In the interim, stay brave, stay free, stay tuned, and thanks for watching.
To all Americans tonight, in all of our cities and in all of our towns, I make this promise. We will make America strong again. We will make America proud again. We will make America safe again. And we will make America great again. God bless you and good night. I love you.